Algeria, Yemen, all countries that are facing, if not full-scale uprisings at this point, certainly the seeds of these uprisings.
And what about the Egyptian interim government there? That it's a product of upheaval as well. How is it dealing with the crisis in Libya and the evacuation of its nationals?
Well, the interim government here, as well as the military, is in crisis mode. It has a huge task ahead of it. There's 1.5 million Egyptian nationals right now in Libya. We understand that only a few thousand, perhaps as much as 16,000, have been managed to be evacuated. And people here are extremely angry at the slow pace at which the foreign ministry and the military have taken to try and make those evacuations happen. So we are seeing protests right now happening outside the Egyptian Foreign Ministry. Millions of people, of course, in Egypt have family members and friends that they can't get hold of. And we're hearing that dozens of those people are outside the Foreign Ministry asking them to work faster. Now, what they are trying to do is get permits from the Libyan side to land planes in Libya to try and take people out. We understand that at least 4 of those permits have been granted, but they need more. Meanwhile, there is a huge effort on the ground to evacuate Egyptian nationals. And we also are hearing that other countries, the Italians, the Turks, they are also asking Egyptian authorities to help evacuate their nationals across the Egyptian border.
Shireen, thanks very much indeed for that. Shireen Tadros in Cairo there. Well, Tunisians living in Libya have also been returning to their country. The two North African countries share a 500-kilometre border. About 50,000 Tunisians work there, and they're leaving because of the violence. Well, our reporter Nazneen Mashiri is at the Tunisian border town of Ras Adjir. She joins me now. Nazneen, you're reporting that many of the people coming across from Libya back into Tunisia have had problems crossing the border. What have been their experiences?
Well, hundreds of people have been flooding across the border. In the last few hours, we've seen a real increase of Tunisians coming across. As you say, tens of thousands live in Libya. They've left their homes, their livelihoods, their jobs, fleeing the violence. They're deeply concerned about what they've seen. I spoke to one man who didn't want to be named for his own safety and the safety of people he says are still in Libya. And he told me his emotional story about how he managed to a getaway.
Military stopped us near the airport, so they take us out of the bus and of the car, and we're waiting more than 2 hours, and they have the gangs. They take our baggage, and they say that the Tunisian people, the Egyptian people, are the responsible about all the protests and manifestation in Libya. So we are very lucky that we have spent all this moment without death for our team, and we have more than 20 people, Tunisian people, in Benghazi now, without food, without communication, without mobile. We haven't any idea about him now. And so I am not very happy because I have my friend working now in Benghazi and we haven't any idea about him.
There's clearly a lot of distressed people there, and there's a lot of Tunisians left back in Libya. What is the Tunisian government doing to get those people out?
Well, I can tell you, Shuli, the last few minutes, there seems to have been a rising in the tension here, particularly amongst the military who are based here, units coming in. The military have been asking people coming across the border what they've been seeing in terms of arms and tanks on the Libyan side, which is literally just a couple of 100 meters away from me, and we're 160 kilometers away from Tripoli. So asking people what exactly is on the other side of the border and moving what were makeshift tents here on this side of the border away now, further away from the border. So we're not really sure what that means, but we do know that the Tunisians are taking this very seriously. They've condemned the violence, they've condemned the way Tunisians have been treated in Libya, and they are trying to send in 5 planes to take their Tunisians out.
OK, Nazanin, thanks very much indeed for that update. Meanwhile, Egypt's military government says it's reinforced its border with Libya. It also says it will open a crossing on the coastal border to enable the sick and the injured to leave. Jamal El-Shael sent this report from Saloum in Egypt near the crossing.
Scenes of a mass evacuation here on the Egyptian-Libyan border in the city of Saloum. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Egyptian expatriates and Libyans who are crossing the border, trying to get some sort of refuge or safety from what is being described by many of the people who are coming across the border as a massacre in Libya. We're hearing tales of the Libyan Air Force indiscriminately bombing civilian areas. We're hearing tales of African mercenaries and foreign forces loyal to Gaddafi or being hired by Gaddafi to entering Libyan homes and killing people. We're yet to verify this information. However, the tales that is being told by the hundreds, if not thousands, who have been coming through are harrowing ones. The Egyptian military here is present in force. They've set up a mobile hospital just a few kilometers away from here where they say they will be treating anyone who needs attention. As the situation continues to unfold, the fear that has gripped a lot of the people coming here is evident for everyone to see. Until the world realizes exactly what is going on in Libya and is able to access some of those horrific tales and the pictures that we have been hearing, it's difficult to understand just how bad the situation is.
OK, we're getting some breaking news coming out of Malta. Let's go to our correspondent there, Cal Perry. Cal, what can you tell us? What's happening?
Well, Shirley, we've just heard from the Italian Navy. They're telling us that they are monitoring a Libyan naval asset off the coast of Malta. They say that this naval asset, as they're calling it, we could obviously come to a conclusion that it's some kind of a military ship, but they're not describing to us exactly what it is. It's off the coast of Malta. It has stalled there. They don't know whether the ship is defecting. It's being watched closely by the Italian Navy, by the Italian Air Force, as well, of course, as the Air Force and Navy here in Malta. We know, of course, that two pilots already defected when they refused to bomb on the protesters. This could be another watershed moment depending on what this ship decides to do, but it raises security concerns for both Italy and Malta. They don't know what's happening in Libya. There's nobody to pick up the phone and call in Libya. I was just on the phone with the foreign minister here in Malta. He was in an emergency meeting. He basically said there's no one to call in Libya, so we don't have any comment about this at this time because we have no one to reach. We don't know if it's defecting. We don't know what its plans are. And quite frankly, I think at this point they don't know how to handle it. Now, Malta has become sort of a departure point and an entry point for people trying to flee Tripoli. We've been spending the day here with a family. They've been here for 24 hours waiting for one flight to come in from Tripoli. There are problems we hear on the runway. There are, of course, problems in the city. People are spending the night at the airport as families wait to see their loved ones come back from Tripoli.
And Cal, how is this playing inside Malta? Because, as you've said, we had the planes, the fighter jets landing in Malta. So Malta is obviously becoming indirectly involved with what's happening in Libya. How is this playing inside Malta?
Well, from what I've seen here, it looks a lot like the way Cyprus probably looked in 2006 during the war.